Mexico, a civilization that has been feeding the world for over 9,000 years, and most people don't even know it. Corn, chocolate, chili peppers, tomatoes, avocados, vanilla. Every single one of them came from Mexico. Before Columbus arrived, before the Spanish conquest, before anyone in Europe had ever tasted a tomato or a chili, Mexico had already built one of the most sophisticated food cultures the world has ever seen. And the world repaid that debt by calling their best taco Mexican, when it was actually invented by Lebanese immigrants. By slapping the name Mexican on hard-shell tacos stuffed with ground beef and cheddar, a dish invented in America that barely exists in Mexico. And by thinking guacamole was a modern invention, when the Aztecs were making it 700 years ago. Mexico's food is 9,000 years old. Most people have only discovered the surface. This is every Mexican dish explained. Corn, tortillas, and nixtamalization. Before the dishes, there is corn. The Aztec civilization believed humans were literally created from corn, not metaphorically, literally. Corn was sacred, divine, the foundation of life itself. And 3,000 years ago, the people of Mexico developed a process called nixtamalization, soaking dried corn kernels in an alkaline solution of water and lime ash that transformed corn into masa, a dough that could be shaped, stuffed, steamed, and griddled. This single process unlocked the entire Mexican kitchen. The tortilla, thin, warm, slightly charred from the comal, is the oldest edible utensil in human history. Aztec Emperor Moctezuma reportedly used them as spoons, scooping food directly from his plate. Every taco, every enchilada, every quesadilla, every tamale, everything begins here. Soft, pliable, faintly earthy, with the smell of fresh corn still in it. A tortilla made fresh on a hot griddle is one of the most perfect things in food. The Spanish arrived in 1519 and tried to replace corn with wheat. They failed. Corn was too deeply embedded, too sacred, too essential. 500 years of colonization could not kill the tortilla. Today, Mexico still makes and eats billions of them every single day. Tacos. The word itself comes from the Nahuatl word tlaco, meaning half or in the middle. The taco's modern form was born in the silver mines of 18th century Mexico, where workers needed fast, portable food they could eat with their hands underground. They called them tacos de minero, miners' tacos. But here is where it gets fascinating. Mexico's most beloved taco, the one eaten on every street corner in Mexico City, the one tourists line up an hour for, was invented by Lebanese immigrants. Tacos al pastor. In the 1930s, waves of Lebanese and Syrian families fled the collapsing Ottoman Empire and settled in Puebla, Mexico. They brought shawarma, lamb stacked on a vertical, rotating spit, shaved onto flatbread. Mexican cooks watched, then adapted. Lamb became pork. The flatbread became a corn tortilla. The Ottoman spices became red chili marinade, and a pineapple, nobody quite knows why, was placed on top of the spinning spit, its juices dripping down over the meat as it roasted. The pork shaved from the trompo is caramelized at the edges, juicy and tender inside, faintly sweet from the pineapple, blazing red from the chili marinade, piled onto a small warm tortilla with raw onion, cilantro, and a squeeze of lime. It is the most eaten taco in Mexico, and it was born from the Ottoman Empire. Tacos de barbacoa, the oldest style, whole heads of beef or cheeks wrapped in maguey leaves and slow cooked in a pit underground for hours until the meat falls apart in silky, rich shreds, deeply smoky and gelatinous, eaten for Sunday breakfast across Mexico. The smell alone stops traffic. Mole, the most complex sauce on earth. Mole. Say it slowly. Mole. It comes from the Nahuatl word mole, meaning sauce. And it is the most complex, labor-intensive, deeply layered sauce ever created by any civilization on Earth. A true mole negro from Oaxaca contains up to 100 ingredients. Dried mulatto chilies, ancho chilies, chipotle, plantain, raisins, almonds, peanuts, sesame seeds, tomatoes, cinnamon, cloves, black pepper, avocado leaves, and the ingredient that shocks everyone, dark chocolate. Not sweet chocolate, bitter raw cacao. the same cacao that Aztecs used as currency and for ritual offerings. The preparation takes days. Each ingredient is toasted separately, ground separately, then combined and cooked low and slow for hours until the sauce turns almost black, thick as velvet, carrying every flavor at once: smoky, sweet, bitter, spicy, deep, and impossibly complex. The legend says mole was born by accident. In the 17th century, a nun at the Santa Rosa convent in Puebla heard the archbishop was coming to visit, unexpectedly. In a panic, she swept every ingredient in her kitchen into a pot and cooked it down with a turkey. The archbishop declared it the finest thing he had ever eaten. Whether the story is true or not, Oaxaca alone has 7 distinct varieties of mole. Each one could take a lifetime to master. Mexico considers mole its national dish. The world has barely scratched the surface. Tamales, the oldest dish in continuous human consumption. Traced back to 8,000 BC, 10,000 years ago, when civilizations of Mesoamerica were packing masa dough with fillings, wrapping it in corn husks or banana leaves, and steaming it over fire. Ancient warriors carried tamales as battlefield rations. Aztec priests offered them to the gods. They were made for births, weddings, funerals, and festivals. Every single occasion in Mexican life then and now is marked by tamales. The process is called a tamalada, a communal event where families gather around a table, sometimes 50 or 100 people, to assemble tamales together. Spreading masa onto corn husks with a flat paddle, spooning in mole or pork and red chili, or cheese and chili strips, or sweet cinnamon and raisin. Folding, tying, stocking in a tall steamer. Hours of work, generations of conversation. The steam rises, the corn husk unfolds to reveal the masa, soft, slightly sticky, fragrant with the filling inside. A tamale made by a grandmother who learned from her grandmother who learned from hers is one of the most emotional things you can eat. Guacamole and the Holy Trinity. Mexico gave the world 3 ingredients that changed global cooking forever. Guacamole. The Aztec name was aguacamole, avocado sauce. Made in a molcajete, the ancient volcanic stone mortar, ripe avocados mashed with lime, salt, white onion, cilantro, and serrano chili until roughly textured, bright green, faintly grassy, and rich. The Aztecs ate it 700 years ago. Today, Americans alone consume 120 million pounds of guacamole on Super Bowl Sunday, every year. Salsa. The Aztecs sold salsa in their markets, tomatoes, chilies, and squash seeds ground together. When Spanish friar Bernardino de Sahagún visited the Aztec markets in the 1500s, he described vendors selling ground squash seeds with tomatoes, chilies, and various sauces. That was salsa. Since 1992, salsa has outsold ketchup in the United States every single year. An Aztec market condiment beat the most American sauce in America. Chili peppers. Mexico has over 100 distinct varieties, each with its own flavor, heat level, and purpose. The ancho is dark, sweet, and smoky. The habanero is floral and fruity before the heat detonates. The poblano is mild and green and perfect for stuffing. The chipotle is a jalapeno that has been smoked and dried, carrying both heat and deep wood smoke into everything it touches. Without Mexican chili peppers, there is no Thai food, no Korean gochujang, no Sichuan cuisine. The entire spicy food world began here. The soups and stews, Mexico's deepest comfort. Pozole. Ancient, pre-Columbian, originally made by the Aztecs for their most sacred rituals, and the historians debate what the original meat was, a debate best left to academics. By the time the Spanish arrived, pork had replaced the original ingredient, and pozole became the dish of celebration. Enormous white hominy kernels, swollen, chewy, tender, floating in a deep red or green broth built from dried chilies and pork, simmer for hours until the broth turns rich and deeply savory, served with a table full of toppings: shredded cabbage, dried oregano, tostadas, radish slices, lime wedges, and onion. Christmas in Mexico means pozole. New Year's means pozole. Any reason to gather means pozole. Birria. From Jalisco. Goat or beef marinated overnight in a paste of dried chilies, vinegar, and spices, slow braised in a sealed clay pot until the meat collapses completely, pulling apart into dark, deeply flavored strands. Served in its own consommé, bright red, fatty, aromatic, with tortillas to dip in. The modern version, birria tacos, where the tortilla is dipped in the fat before griddling until crackling and golden, has exploded across the world in recent years. It went from a regional Jalisco wedding dish.
Street food. Mexico after dark. Mexico's street food culture is one of the greatest on earth. It never sleeps. Elote, a whole ear of corn charred directly over an open flame until blackened at the tips, skewered on a stick, slathered with mayonnaise, cotija cheese, chili powder, and a squeeze of lime. The combination sounds bizarre. The result is smoky, creamy, salty, spicy, and tangy, all at once. The most eaten street food in Mexico City, sold on every corner, every night. Chilaquiles, the Mexican breakfast that uses last night's leftover tortillas. Tortilla chips, thicker than what you know, soaked in red or green salsa until they soften slightly but still hold texture. Topped with crema, crumbled cheese, sliced onion, and a fried egg. It is the hangover cure, the Sunday morning ritual, the comfort food of the entire nation, and it requires nothing more than a day-old tortilla and a good salsa. Churros, fried dough. Crispy outside, soft inside, rolled in cinnamon sugar, originally from Spain, adopted and perfected by Mexico. Sold from street carts with a paper cup of thick, dark, hot chocolate for dipping. The combination of crunch, sugar, cinnamon, and bittersweet chocolate is the reason every street fair in the world now sells them. Mexico didn't just create food. It created the ingredients that fed the world. Without Mexican corn, there is no bread, no tortilla, no polenta. Without Mexican chili, there is no Thai curry, no Korean kimchi spice, no Sichuan heat. Without Mexican cacao, there is no chocolate, no dessert as we know it. Without Mexican tomatoes, there is no Italian pasta sauce, no Spanish gazpacho, no American ketchup. The world built its cuisine on Mexico's foundation and mostly forgot to say thank you. Mexico's food is not street food. It is not fast food. It is not Tex-Mex. It is 9,000 years of civilization on a tortilla.